Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. Last day on vacation before we get back to our familiar digs with the high-tech background and cool effects, but I did want to go through Game 2 of the Rockets versus Blazers because there's some real problems going on here again with Mikal and the coaching. I think he waited way too long to put Dwight back in the fourth quarter in the foul trouble. They had too much separation, and what's the point of keeping him in or keeping him on the bench to save his fouls if the game is going to be over? Also, he's playing the Ashik and Dwight Howard lineup together, something they really haven't done much at all in the second half of the season. Really hard to expect them to do well, having not done that for so long. Also, you can't have a guy like Darrell Wright score double figures. It's real problematic, and obviously Harden had something to do with that with his defense. And this is the real issue, is if you let your star player get away with all those defensive issues throughout the season, eventually those kind of things will come back to haunt you, and it certainly did at the end of the game. Looking at the results of the Rockets' ball screens, they scored an anemic 0.67 points per possession, but when Dwight set the ball screen, they were a healthier 0.83 points per possession. The Rockets didn't waste time getting into the Howard-Harden pick and roll, and while Portland stopped penetration well, the roll enabled Dwight to use his superior quickness to grab the board and slam it home. Watch what happens when Houston involves its two best players in the pick and roll. The defense collapses on them, creating a wide open corner three, and while it misses, Dwight is fouled after getting positioned for the rebound. James Harden has been miserable with his shooting, and he also makes a big mistake by not finding either of his open shooters in the weak side, throwing this feeble lob attempt that turns into a bad turnover. But in crunch time, here he is again setting a ball screen for Parsons, forcing the switch, and Lopez can't stop Parsons from hitting this nice lefty layup. LaMarcus Aldridge had another career night with 43 points from the post and the perimeter. Here's how his field goal attempts shook out by defender. Without a doubt, Omer Ashik has been most effective, even if he's been victimized by forcing some of the toughest shots Aldridge has had to make. You can tell there's been an attempt to adjust to the pick and pop as Terrence Jones hedges high and expects Dwight to rotate out to stop the shot. That means Jones should rotate and box out Lopez. Neither do their job, and it's downright awful effort to boot. And it gets Aldridge another wide open 15-footer, and now he's in rhythm. Here's a better example of the rotation they're looking for, and it's interesting because Harden is guarding Lopez while Ashik is on Aldridge. When Ashik hedges high on the pick and roll, Harden rotates out to contest the shot. As long as Ashik hustles in a more direct route towards Lopez, I think this is very viable. Ashik is the best at bodying up on Aldridge and disrupting his rhythm with physical play, and it showed in his ability to force more misses. Mikal can't really afford to have Dwight guard Aldridge if he's going to exert this little effort to close out and allow Aldridge to maintain his shooting rhythm. Then there were the strange coaching decisions, like going to Dwight in the post for the quick two when they know he'll get fouled. It worked beautifully, however, because he hit both of them. But watch what happens on the inbounds. Everyone knows the Blazers want to take as much time off as possible, but you still must get back on your man. And Harden is completely lost and lets Wes Matthews sneak in behind him for the layup. I mean, this is as bad a play by Harden as you can possibly make, and it's a direct result of Mikal letting him get away with his defensive issues. And when the Rockets have a last chance after this incredible Harden 3, they don't need to foul. With a 6-second difference between the game clock and shot clock, they need only get a stop, call timeout, and inbound it for a game-tying 3 attempt. But Jeremy Lin, the Harvard grad, just hacks him, effectively ending the game. So there you have it, sports fans. A real tall order for the Rockets to overcome, having lost the first 2 games at home. Almost never happens where that team will actually win the series, but these games are close and there are some adjustments being made. I actually like the Harden on Lopez with Ashik on Aldridge. I think there's some viability there when they don't have Dwight in, and heck, you can even have Dwight on Lopez, Ashik on Aldridge, and go big that way, and I think you can get some success there. But at this point, without having demonstrated terrific rotational ability on defense throughout the year, is it realistic to expect that they can suddenly put it all together and win that way? And I think it's probably too tall of an order for anybody, and it really is the reason why Kevin Mikal should have been focusing on this a little bit more during the regular season and not letting guys like Harden get away with such poor defensive effort and awareness. It's also awareness where it didn't appear that Harden had any clue he should be getting on Wes Matthews in that transition situation. I believe you see Beverly yelling at him to go to get him, but it's just terrible. And we saw that the highlight clip recently that guy released of all his bad defensive issues. And if you let your players get away with that kind of thing, this is what happens. It comes back to haunt you big time, and it might actually come back to haunt McHale for a long time, because if he loses the series, it's potentially he might not keep his job. Well, thanks for joining us, sports fans. Lots more coming up, and I can't wait to get back home and do some really cool stuff in our studio. So don't miss that. Follow us on Twitter during his games. We'll have some also live post-game shows coming up for you for the playoffs. And don't forget, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?